get started. So my name is Nancy Wallace-Laabs. I am going to be your host tonight for ForeclosuresDaily.com, where they have been connecting buyers with motivated sellers since 2004. So Foreclosures Daily is your trusted nationwide real estate lead partner. So they have nationwide reach connecting investors, realtors, attorneys, and first-time buyers with high-quality leads. And they've been an industry leader since 2004, and they've become the internet's top destination for detailed, timely real estate information. And it's expertise that you can trust, that they have a commitment to excellence that ensures you as the client receive the most accurate and up-to-date data available. So who am I and why am I here? So my name is Nancy Wallace-Laabs. I am a licensed Texas real estate broker. I'm an independent best-selling author of the book Winning Deals and Heels. I've done speaking across the country about real estate investing, and I have experience with off-market property acquisitions. I live in Frisco with my hubby Brian and our two dogs, Murray and Kyla, who I have to apologize because they may bark later on in the webinar. So I also, since 2018, I've been a client of ForeclosuresDaily.com, and I have been only using their pre-probate leads. So I've kind of become a specialist in that, and I specialize in leveraging the pre-probate marketing and leads to uncover unique investment opportunities and offer pre-probate training on how to reach families before they go through probate. Now, I know in Florida, you have all the properties have to go through probate, but that doesn't mean that you can't contact them before then. So in Texas, we have the ability to actually purchase properties without having to go through probate. So if that's something that you're interested in, I am doing a live training on May 22nd, and you can just reach out to me about that. I also have a podcast that I do with my daughter. My daughter and I founded Money Making Mamas, where we help moms learn how to invest in real estate and make money. We host our Money Making Mamas podcast, which we just started in January. And we just share things about being women, real estate investors. And we'll talk about, mom life, generational investing, with my daughter and I. We did a little stint on wholesaling. We're not experts like our guest speaker is, but we know a little bit about wholesaling. And we also talk about the journey of being an entrepreneur. Now, when you become a client at ForeclosureDaily.com, you will receive a book, one of my books, Winning Deals and Heels. And this really is just my story and 9 other of my closest real estate buddies and how we've overcome obstacles as women. And what you'll see is that we have the same theme, is that you don't do this alone, right? You have to build relationships, and that's what it's based on. So when you become a client, you're going to receive a lot of, oh, wait a minute. I skipped over. There we go. Sorry, Chris. All right. So this is the part where you all signed up for, and we are so honored tonight. And I was just blown away by your, all the things that you've done. And normally I'll have this like slide, and I'm like, okay, here, this guy, he's going to go through everything. He's an entrepreneur. He's a real estate investor. He's a developer. He's a best-selling author. He's a national speaker. He's a coach. He lives in Lafayette, Louisiana. And he has a story of how he went from running an oil change business to building a $40 million real estate empire. He's flipped houses. He's built a rental portfolio. He's going to talk about how to find off-market deals. And he also helps other people do the same through his Allies Mastermind. Now Chris, I'm going to let you get started here in a minute, but I want to let the audience know that we're going to come back to this slide at the end so everybody can get Chris's contact information. So make sure you connect with him on social, Twitter, and you can schedule a strategy call with his team by going to his website. I hope you can see it. It's chrisrood.com. Is that right, Chris?
That's right. Well, it's not going to be. It's not going to be with my team. It'll be with me directly.
Oh, okay, with him directly. So sorry. Well, Chris, I'm just going to I'm going to stop my share so that people can just, stop my share, and then we'll come back. And then you just take it over. I'm going to go mute here. And thank you and welcome. And let's hear all the wisdom. We're very excited for you to be here tonight.
So just so I understand, there's no questions. You just want me to tell me exactly what you want me to talk about, the journey and what they should be doing.
The journey. And then I want you to talk about what we were talking about earlier about the challenges of
Yeah.
building wealth these days because of insurance costs, Airbnb challenges. Like I'm in Texas and, regulations and things like that. So, and then if you want, as people have questions, I mean, we could do it like, I could say, hey, we have a question, Chris. You want to do it that way where we talk about the
Yeah,
questions?
I would say let me talk, but as they can interject and interrupt me as far as questions, and you just interrupt me and stop me. Because me just rambling on, I mean, we may go past, misunderstandings or people have questions. So let's just make it real Q&A and
I
interactive.
love that. Okay, everybody. So bring on your questions, and I'm kind of known for asking questions too. So I will just turn it over to you. I'll kind of stay in the background, and then as we have questions, I will let you know.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, look, I appreciate you guys coming on and listening to me. If you're on here, you are trying to better your life. You're trying to be your best self, and you're trying to build wealth, like all of us, right? We're trying to build financial freedom. And the first thing I would tell you that if you want to build financial freedom, there is going to be a cost to that. There's going to be a cost associated with that, and it's going to be in the form of a sacrifice. And the first thing you need to ask yourself is, are you willing to sacrifice, weekends, late nights, hanging out with your friends? Frankly speaking, and you have to forgive me because I curse a lot. I'm from South Louisiana, but I'm just going to talk like I normally talk. Sacrifice fucking off, because a lot of you guys and a lot of people are not going to get ahead because they fuck off too much. At 22 years old, I decided I wasn't going to do that no more, and I buckled down. And I decided I was going to take all the extra time and energy I had that I was doing partying and just doing shit that just doesn't move the needle in life. And I was going to put it all into learning how to run a business, personal development, working on myself and sharpening my skill sets to help me make more money, right? Because a dream of mine, even as a young kid, was I want to be wealthy. Like I want to be a wealthy guy. And I can remember thinking about that shit when I was 17, 18 years old, talking to my friends that I want to make a bunch of money. So you got to have a vision. You got to have a willingness to work really hard and understand that people that build wealth don't work less; they work more. If you got a W-2 job, you're working 40 hours a week. Shit, I remember when I used to have a part-time job. It's still to this day I still work. I work 7 days a week, right? And you say, well, why do you do that? Well, but first, for one, because I love this shit. And I would tell you got to love this shit. You got to love it so much, and you got to love your barriers, because it's a huge barrier that you're going to have to push up against to build wealth. So if you don't love it, you're not, just obsessed with the fact of trying to live your best life and build wealth for you, your family, and your legacy. Put it down. Go back to your W-2 job. There's nothing wrong with that, but you're going to pay the piper, and it's going to hurt. And if I haven't scared some of you guys off and you still want to listen, good, we'll continue. But otherwise, if you don't love it and you're just trying to dabble in it and try it out, it's not going to work out. You either go all in or you go all out. There is no middle ground, because if you just try to dabble in it, you will fail. So with that said, I'm going to give you some basic fundamentals on how to build wealth, because at the end of the day, it's not, you can't get tactical and you can't get very strategic until you understand and master the basics in any endeavor that you take on. Any sport, any game you play, you have to understand the basics and the fundamentals that you need to master. And real estate and business, at the end of the day, is just a sport, guys. It's no different than, when you go, if you played high school baseball, football, or track or whatever, it's just a game and it's a sport. So learn the rules, learn the fundamentals, and practice, practice, practice. So with that said, what are the rules? What are the fundamentals? What's the game in real estate, right? There's a few fundamental things that if you get really, really good at and you master and you stay consistent, and that's a key word I'm going to use throughout this presentation, is being consistent. Consistency is a superpower. You don't really have to be that smart in real estate to actually do really well. You really got to be more consistent than super smart. You can't be no dummy. But real estate ain't rocket science, right? We're not splitting atoms. We're not flying to the moon. We got to be, we need more balls than brains, put it that way. You need fortitude, you need holding and staying power, and you need consistency over a duration of time to be successful. So the fundamentals, what are the fundamentals in real estate? let's talk about that. The first thing you need to understand, there's different aspects of real estate, right? Different association patterns of getting paid in real estate that you need to understand that nobody told me when I started. And I had to almost come up with these principles for myself. And I did come up with these principles. If you follow me, probably heard me talk about it. And that's understanding the velocity of money in real estate and how it transacts. You got fast, medium, and slow money that I had to coin for myself. And that is the rate at which you get paid in real estate. Fast money is going to be something that you get paid on a daily, weekly, or a 30-day basis. That's going to be you being a realtor, you wholesaling, or maybe a small flip or a brokerage, maybe a property management. You get paid once a month, or a W-2 job, or a small business that gets paid on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. That's fast money, right? Everybody's got to have fast money, or you ain't able to pay your bills. Then you have what I would call medium money, which is where you get paid on a 3 to 6 month life cycle. That's going to be more on the terms of flipping or having your GC license, contracting, where you don't get paid for 3 to 6 months. And then you got slow money, right? Slow money is going to be what? Buy and hold, where it's rental property, where it's a long turnaround. You really don't make a whole lot of money on it until you hold it for a long time. Or maybe land development. Land development, I have neighborhoods I build. Sometimes you don't get paid for 3 years, right? It takes a long time. So understanding those concepts, fast, medium, and slow money, is going to help you differentiate and separate where you need to be and what you need to work on. Problem is with real estate, a lot of people read books and have this misunderstanding that they think they need to just buy a bunch of rental property and they can just quit their job and live off their, what's that keyword? Their passive income, and they don't have to work anymore. As newsflash, passive income ain't passive. There's a lot of bullshit on social media. There's a lot of half truths and oh, excuse me. And there's a lot of just, frankly speaking, bullshit, right? You do not, as a newbie real estate investor, need to be starting off with buying real estate and buying hold for rental property cash flow until you have your fast and medium money handled. Because what's going to happen is you're going to buy a bunch of rental property and think you can live off your passive income, and you can just buy yourself a job because you're going to be doing all the property management, and it's such slow money. You might make a couple, $200, $300, $400, $500 a month positive cash flow when you, after all expenses, until something goes wrong, right? And I think that's where a lot of people mess up, is they end up, because I buy tons of real estate from people that thought they could just buy a bunch of rental properties and sell off into the sunset. I end up buying their properties for half of what they paid for it, because they thought the same thing. They thought they could buy a rental property and just live off the passive income. You have no business getting into rental property until you have your fast and medium money handle first. All you guys in this be starting off with wholesaling, right? And you don't have to wholesale, but you need to learn how to buy at wholesale prices. That is the fundamentals, right? If you look at real estate, just like you look at school, you got pre-K, or you got kindergarten, which is elementary school, and you got junior high, and you got high school, and you got college, and then you've got getting your master's degree. Real estate has a learning curve that if you skip one layer of it, it messes up the other. No different than when you go to preschool or kindergarten, you learn the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s. If you miss that and you go straight to high school and try to learn how to write papers and you didn't learn the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s, guess what? Everything else is confusing. You don't understand anything. And for me, I've had to coin for myself what I call the progression chart in my coaching program, where we start you and where we finish you. Everybody starts at learning how to buy properties at wholesale prices. That is elementary school. We teach you direct to seller marketing. If you don't understand direct to seller marketing, you're not going to be able to find off-market properties from motivated sellers at a discount, because what's the old adage? You make money when you what? When you buy. If you can't make money when you buy and buy at a discount, you are going to get your ass handed to you in real estate. How do I know? Because I was one of those guys that did everything backwards, bought on MLS, bought a bunch of rental property, overpaid for stuff, didn't know how to buy right, and screwed myself and had to go back at it again and learn all this stuff. If you learn how to buy right in the beginning, you can literally screw up everything else. If you bought right, you can get out of a deal because you have what? Equity. You make money when you buy. So that is the first thing you need to understand. You need to learn how to do direct seller marketing, whether that's direct mail, cold calling, bandit signs, Facebook ads, PPC, SEO, text blast, posting on social media, networking, agent outreach. Those are all examples of our PPL, paper lead. Those are all examples of direct to seller marketing, which we spend tons of money in direct mail, text blast, SEO. We post on social media. We do all those things. So that is elementary school. Once you learn elementary school and you learn how to find a deal, you need to graduate to junior high, which is what you probably think, oh, it's flipping. It's actually not. This becomes before flipping, and that's the art of raising private money. That is junior high. You have to learn the art of raising private money. And once you know how to find deals at a discount, it's not hard to raise private money because anybody's going to give you a loan for a property. If you buy deals at 50 cents on the dollar, it's not hard to get a loan at that point. Once you understand how to raise private capital, then you graduate to high school, which is going to be flipping houses. Because you got elementary school in, you know how to buy right through direct to seller marketing. You know how to raise private money, so you're not using your own money for your flips. So now you're ready to flip houses. Then from there, you've been doing this for a couple of years. You're making hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars a year flipping houses. Now you're ready for buy and hold, which is slow money. So you got fast money at the top of at the beginning, which is elementary school, and you got high school is flipping. That's medium money. Then you got slow money, which is further down where we're at in college, which is slow money, buy and hold. Now, the reason why I do it in that order, because it's logic, right? It's association by logic. It's connectiveness. They all touch each other logically and in a sequence. And you got to think logically in business and in a sequence. You have to do things in the correct order. It messes everything up. Now, once you're wholesaling, you're flipping, you're making a bunch of money, and you're starting to buy a rental property, you're going to start having a tax problem from wholesaling and flipping, especially making, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. You're going to have a problem. You're going to have a tax problem. That's the indicator that you're ready for buy and hold. Now, people think you do buy and hold for cash flow. Yes, you want to underwrite for cash flow. It's been tough lately to make things cash flow because interest rates, insurance, cost of goods, labor's went up, cost of materials went up, everything has went up. It's tough. More than ever, I would tell you that buy and hold slow money is more for one, store value to protect you against the money printing machine in Washington to hedge you against inflation. Two, depreciation to keep you from paying taxes. Three, principal pay down. Then four, cash flow. That's the order of importance. Everybody thinks you buy rental property for cash flow. You don't buy rental property for cash flow. You buy rental property for appreciation and depreciation. Yes, you want it to cash flow and you want to underwrite it to cash flow, but that's not going to be your biggest profit center with rental property until it's paid off. So that's the order of importance. Now, once you have buy and hold, which is college handled, and you're ready to move on the big boy leagues, say you're getting your master's degree now, that's going to be land development. Land development is going to be where you're going to eventually want to graduate to. That's going to be probably 5 to 6, 7 years out. But if you understand all the top of that funnel, that from all the way from direct to seller marketing, wholesaling, raising money, flipping, buy and hold, you're ready now for development because you can find money, you can find deals, you understand the construction process from flipping, and you're ready to do new build construction. Now, once you do that and you graduate, maybe you've been doing this for 10 years now, and you make a bunch of money, then you get into, I would call legendary mode, which is, professor mode, where everybody should end up in 20 years or so when you stack a bunch of cash, and that's being the lender. The lender's in the best position, and that is the progression chart from where you should start to where you should finish. Now that you understand fast, medium, and slow money, you got the progression chart. What are the fundamentals in real estate? The fundamentals, if you look at triangles, I love triangles because they're all logical. They all touch each other. It's association by logic, right? Now, one point of that, if you look at one point right here, the bottom corner of the triangle is direct to seller marketing. Once you master you have to put out direct to seller marketing to find deals every day. And the other point of that bottom of that point is raising capital. Then the other point at the top of the triangle, the tip, is going to be building a brand. Every one of you guys needs to be working on all three of those points every day. And when I say a social media brand, I mean like posting content about what's prevalent to what you're trying to do in real estate, that you're flipping a house, that you're looking to raise capital, that you're looking for partners. If you're not utilizing social media in the 21st century, you are fundamentally screwing yourself. Never in world history has there been an opportunity to promote your business, your brand, your services, what you're looking for free, ever. If Jesus was alive today, he would be all over social media saying, praise the Lord, hallelujah. And would be promoting himself all over social media. So when I hear people saying they don't want to promote in social media, I'm telling you, you need to put it down, and you're just either you're blind to the fact and the power of social media. Look, I've raised over $65 million in social media. You need to be on social media. You don't have to, do what I'm doing and promote your face. You can just talk about what you're doing and give out good, valuable content, right? About what you're doing, flipping a house, wholesaling, buying rental property, whatever it may be. Now, those are some of the 3 things I do on a daily basis. All I do, I'll only focus on revenue generating activities, and I do direct seller marketing, generate leads, and I raise capital on that other point, and I put out content to attract more leads and raising capital. Now, the most important thing on that triangle is building a brand, because building a brand will actually help you raise capital and will help you get more deals organically. Now, in the middle of that triangle, you're going to have what I call allies, right? That's my brand, no friends, only allies. That's why I created the Allies Mastermind. You can get a part of all kind of deals and be a part of different asset classes just by being one point of the 3 points of it, what I call the deal triangle, right? Once again, I'm going to use another Patty, go ahead, dog. I'm going to use another triangle to get you guys to understand what I mean by the deal triangle. One part of that triangle deal is the deal triangle is going to be what? The deal itself. If you get really good at finding deals, you can be a part of an asset class and make yourself an equity partner just by finding off-market properties, whether that's a mobile home park in my case, or a short-term vacation rental that I'm at right now. This is one of my condos that I'm here in Destin that we're here vacation on, that I own, that I rent out, and we're here, doing due diligence on another condo that I bought. But if you can get access to it, if you can get access to deals, you can make yourself a part of a deal just by bringing the deal to somebody that can raise the capital, right? So you got the deal triangle. One part of that triangle is who can find a deal. The other part is who can raise the money in the bottom right corner. And the top part is operations, right? Maybe somebody that that understands construction, how to rehab, a condo or an apartment complex or a mobile home park can be a part of that. And you can each get equity inside of that. Tell you to stop calling. Now,
Chris, we have a question.
Yep.
That's kind of what you're talking about. So Thomas asked, what have been your most effective direct-to-seller strategies, direct mail, cold calls? So I think they want you to talk about how are you generating the leads?
So I'm getting deals. I'd say my top 3 ways are direct mail would be number 1. Number 2 would be probably my brand. Just you need to become an authority figure in your market. If people think about real estate, they need to think about you. Yeah, this is why I tell you need to put out content. I get a lot of organic deals sent to me every single day. 3, I would tell you, we do a lot of SEO. We get good deals from SEO. I do still put out bandit signs everywhere. So, I mean, you can't just do 1 or 2 things. I mean, I think it's important to have 3 or 4 irons in the fire. And things change all the time. Up until 2020, from 2014 to 2020, I was doing nothing but digital marketing. I was doing Facebook ads, SEO, PPC, and I crushed it. And then they changed all the algorithms, and the cost per lead and cost per click went up on PPC, and they changed the lookalike audience and who you can target on Facebook, and that wrecked my marketing campaign for a long time. And I switched from that to direct mail from 2020 all the way to up until now. And we've been doing really good with direct mail, although my cost per lead on direct mail has went up quite a bit. I think because the market's kind of funny right now, but I tell you, this text blast has been really good for us lately. We offer a text blast service called Allies Lead Flow. Because I can hit 20,000 people for like $3,500 on a text blast, where if I'm going to hit 20,000 people to direct mail campaign, that's going to cost me like 16,500. The only bad thing about text blasts is you miss the older people that don't have a cell phone, which that's a dying breed anyway. All those people are getting so old, they're dying anyway. But with direct mail, you still get the older crowd that want to sell their house. But I would tell you, you got to mix it up. There's no one way to market. You have to literally throw shit at the wall and see what sticks, so to speak. And I'm in a bunch of different markets, have a bunch of different partners. What works in one market doesn't necessarily work in the other market. You got to figure out where is the competition, who's doing what, and you got to dominate the market in your market of what works, right? Some markets, I don't even do a lot of single family home flips. We buy a lot of land and we develop land and we drop mobile homes and we do what's called the trailer land home package because there's just a ton of competition with wholesaling and flipping, but there's not a ton of competition with land. So you have to be strategic in what you're doing and figure out what works in your market. I can't tell you what works in your market. All I can tell you is that you're going to have to spend money. And if you can't spend money, then you need to get very creative and you have to spend your time, whether that's driving for dollars, putting out bandit signs, posting on social media, and you're going to have to put out effort.
I have a question for you. So when you're looking at, because you invest in multiple markets, so why don't you talk about how you started that and what are the tips? So if people want to say, well, I don't want to invest in Florida, I want to invest in Kansas or Idaho or whatever it is. What are the top 3 things, or what do you look for when you want to go to another market?
Well, I'm looking at, first and foremost, I'm looking at, do I have a partner in that market? It depends on what you're doing. Are we talking about wholesaling and flipping or buying whole?
Well, since you talked about like wholesaling, why don't we start there? And then how do you move
Yep.
into, owning vacation property in Manhattan?
Right. Well, there's 3 ways to wholesale. You got backyard wholesaling, which is where I recommend everybody start because it's easier to, if you understand your market and you're there and you live there, you already know everybody. You know the buyers, you know the sellers, you know the attorneys, you know your cash buyers. It's easier it's the low hanging fruit. Then you have what's called the call center model, where you can do a call center and do a bunch of cold calling and do it all over the country, or do PPC, but it's very cumbersome and it's very you have a lot of overhead doing that. I don't recommend that. Then you have what's called the hybrid, which is what I do. It's basically backyard wholesaling in markets that you're in via an ally that that lives there that can help you run leads. Whether you trade value, where you spend the money on the leads and you take the calls and you send the best leads to your partner in the market that you want to be in, and he works the leads. I'm a firm believer you're not going to out negotiate somebody in person that's trying to do this over the phone, who's trying to do nationwide wholesaling. Just not. I mean, there's more trust and rapport built when you're in front of a homeowner and you're from the area. That's how I've scaled my operation. Is I'll partner up with an ally that I met at either a mastermind who's come through my coaching program that I trust, that's in a market that I want to be in, and I'll partner up with I could tell you this, that the best markets are in the Southeast. I mean, if you're trying to do this in San Francisco or New York or Oregon, I mean, I would definitely try to wholesale. Not that you can't get deals done in those markets, but I would definitely try to wholesale in markets that are still affordable, that are red states and landlord friendly, and real estate and entrepreneur friendly. That's where I stay. All of my markets are in the Southeast and in the South. So what was the second question, Nancy?
Yeah. Okay. So then going to scaling. So it sounds like, if you start with wholesaling, and then if you want to start buying the properties for either long-term rental or for flipping, or you have to have trusted boots on the ground, is what I'm hearing. Because it's not going to work with you sitting in Florida or Louisiana and you want to invest in Texas.
No, I mean, you can have a property manager, but I mean, a property manager is not going to manage it like you or one of your partners. It's better to partner up with somebody and give him equity and let him keep an eye on it and manage it. That's going to get you the furthest and best return on your investment, even though you're giving up equity, because he has a dog in the fight. He has a vested interest in making that asset class go right. I mean, I could tell you horror story after horror story of property management companies wrecking people's portfolio because they just don't care. They're getting paid. They're barely getting paid anything. And they're not going to do anything to save you money. In fact, they're going to do everything that's easiest for them. That's going to cost you the most money, and they're not going to cut savings. But if you have a partner who owns the asset class with you and lives in that area, he has a vested interest in making sure he saves you and him as much money as possible and makes that thing cash flow and keeps it as efficient as possible. So I don't recommend property management. If maybe you can't manage it yourself because you have a W-2 job. I mean, I'm not saying you can't have a property manager, but if you're going to get into a value add property that needs, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of work, in some cases, millions, you cannot lean on a property manager to do all that work for you. If you have an asset class that's already stabilized and it's just one or two properties, that's a different story. But if you're doing a big value add apartment complex, a mobile home park, you better have a partner who's a boots on the ground, who's going to manage the construction project, who owns some equity in that project. That is going to give you the highest likelihood and chances of making that asset class work.
Yeah, I have a follow-up question to that too, because on the same token, like, looking at markets where you can invest, and then markets that you should run from. So I live in Texas, Galveston, Texas. I was just there a couple of weeks ago, spring break. Multitude of houses for sale down there because a lot of people bought. So as a new investor, I might think, because people are dropping the prices like $50,000, $100,000, maybe, but it depends on what you're going to use it for, right? So what are some red flags if I'm thinking about investing someplace? I know you said like stay in red state, landlord friendly, but what about market trends? How do you look at that, and how do market trends affect your decision?
I would tell you, you said Galveston. I just spoke in Galveston not long ago, and I would stay away from flood zones because that's unpredictable. You can't predict what these flood insurance companies are going to do and how much they're going to go up on your insurance. And insurance already went up already. But I would tell you got to be ultra careful right now with the market. The market's falling right now, and you don't want to. There's an old saying, you don't want to catch a falling knife, and you can get a lot of good deals right now. But you need to make sure you're buying super deeply discount. Right now is the time to start raising capital and buying deals, because the market is definitely cooling off and pulling back. But you got to be also careful that, you said there's deals dropping 100 grand. You don't want to buy it just because it dropped 100 grand and it drops another 100 grand, which I don't think it'll drop that much, unless it's a $1 million property. Dropping 200,000 is only really 20%. But markets across the country are falling 3 to 5% right now. So do I think it's going to fall more? I really don't know, Nancy. I mean, I think we're in such a strange, weird real estate market. We have such a problem right now with interest rates. Insurance has skyrocketed. Inflation is hurting people. You got to be ultra careful. And the only way you're going to be ultra careful is you got to buy right. It goes back to my progression chart, right? Buying at wholesale prices. When cash flow fails, and it will fail sometimes, what saves you? Equity. If you bought right, you can get out of it. If you didn't buy right, you end up writing a check to get out of that deal. So make sure you're buying with a lot of equity. Make sure you're buying deeply discounted from motivated sellers in markets that have, this is a key word, Nancy, great migration patterns. Where are people moving to? People are moving to Texas, Tennessee, and Florida, right? You want to stay in markets that have great migration patterns, because the more people move to those areas as the country keeps dividing and, states become less and less landlord friendly, entrepreneur friendly, and just American constitutional right unfriendly. I mean, look at all the people that moved from California and New York to Texas and Tennessee and Florida, because the governors and the politics of those states are running all the good quality people out. The business owners and the people that love their constitutional freedoms, they're running everybody out of there. And this is why you see such an influx to those three states. So I would tell you right now, I would buy anything in Texas, Tennessee, and Florida. I would just stay away from flood zones, and I would try to stay in areas that are doing well. I mean, I wouldn't say anywhere in Texas, Tennessee, and Florida, because it's still going to be sub-markets inside of a state that are not that great. But I mean, I invest a lot of money in the Panhandle here in Florida. We're, like I said, we're here to buy another condo. We have in a contract doing due diligence, and everything we've ever bought over here is doubled and tripled in value. I mean, we're in May, and there's tons of people on the beach here, and this place booms with vacationers. So I'm going to continue to invest over here because the migration patterns are great. The politics are great. and the values stay strong, and the rental market's really strong out here. So that's what I'd have to tell you. Just stay in colleges are good, stay by colleges, but even like where I'm from in Louisiana, we lose 50,000 people a year. The only city that's actually gaining population is my hometown city of Lafayette that's actually gaining population, but that's the only city in all of Louisiana that's gaining. So I don't really like to invest too much outside of Lafayette. I do have some mobile home parks in Baton Rouge I'm selling, but that's super important. Look, you can't be no dummy and do this. Like, you just can't go around just buying whatever and just say, "Oh, I'm a real estate investor." That's going to make you a motivated seller real quick if you don't know what you're doing.
It'd make you quite broke. So, well,
That's
why don't
right.
you give that? Let's go back to private money lending because I think people struggle with, well, how do I do that? And where do I start? And, you and I at the beginning talked about self-directed IRA. So just maybe give some tips on how people can raise money.
Well, raising money is definitely a skill and an art you have to develop over time. And you can do that by doing a few things. First and foremost, get really good at finding off-market deals. Because if you got an off-market deal and you can show the private money lender how deeply discounted you bought it, that ensures them then feel more comfortable to invest in your deal, for one. Two, you it's a relationship game, right? You got to be a good person. Like, be a good person, be a good steward of money. And I would tell you, the first $20 million of the portfolio I built on my own without even raising the capital. I did it all on my own, just, having good credit and using money that I had earned and into deals that I had found and bought and rehabbed. So I was a good operator before I was a good private money raiser, right? I think there's a lot of problem on social media. A lot of people raise capital on social media because they're, an influencer, and they're, which I mean, I think influencers should be code word for being full of shit. That's what I think about influencers. They have a lot of social media followers. They have all these followers, but no skills, and because they I don't know. My point is, you got to know what the hell you're doing if you're gonna raise money, and you got to be a good operator. You got to understand the asset class. You got to be somebody that's trustworthy, a good person, and you got to be able to build relationships with private money lenders. That they're not just going to give you their money, their hard-earned money, if they don't think that you're going to get their money back with a return, and that you're a trusted operator. But if you follow that progression chart that I talked about, and you know how to find deals, and you work all that stuff, I mean, learning how to find a deal is the most important thing. It's the fundamentals. If you know how to find a deal and you can present that deal and show them all the equity you've captured on the buy side, you have a high likelihood of being able to raise capital, because of the fact that if it goes south, they have a good property with a lot of equity they can take back from one. And then to fall back on that, if you have a social media presence like I do, and if you don't, I would recommend you build a social media presence. They can see your lifestyle, see what kind of man you are, or woman you are. What are your values? Do you have, what do you do outside of just work? Or are you a party animal? I remember there's people on social media I'd watch, they were party animals, and they would ask me why they can't raise capital. And every other post on social media, he's at a titty bar, or he's got half naked girls with him on a boat throwing money around and just burning through money, being stupid. And I said, "Well, dude, why do you think you can't raise money?" I said, look what you're showing on social media. You think people that got millions of dollars want to give you money? Because he wanted me to raise money for some stuff he had going on. I was like, dude, I ain't raising money for you. Even though I know you're just having a good time, but why would you want to promote on social media? You're a grown ass man that you're just throwing money around, and you got half naked women in your boat with music, and just you acting like you're a teenager, and this dude's 35 years old, right? So you got to be careful what you post, and be somebody that's got some integrity, and some morals and values. I mean, I'm not going to give anybody money that I think is got strippers and hookers and goes to a titty bar. I mean, would you, Nancy?
That would be a hard no for me. Well, the other thing I've had people, they'll have, and Texas, we're, gun friendly and whatnot, but also on the other end of that, if you're just all about, I don't know, shooting up things, killing animals. You have to look at who is the audience that you're trying to get, right? So, and that you're kind of I'm going to use normal, but people don't want to give money to the extremists. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
I'm not saying you can't be a hunter. I'm just saying maybe don't pose with the head of the big antelope or whatever.
That's right. That's right. Well, Nancy, just so I'm transparent, I am a hunter, and I do post my dead deer every year that I kill. So don't
Well,
think
okay, all right, there you go. So
but I don't chop their head off and show it on there. I just show them. I do show a picture of them after I kill them with my
you're
gun.
not actually wearing the head, right?
No, 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 no. But look,
But it just goes like,
there's no right or wrong way. I mean, you just be a good person, be authentic, be truthful,
yes,
live in the truth. The most powerful emotion out there is not love, it's not affection, it's authenticity. Be real, be who you are on and off camera. How you hear it, that's why I apologize to you right when I got on it, because I cursed. That's who I am. I'm from South Louisiana. I don't pretend to be nobody I'm not. And I'm not going to pretend to be somebody that you want me to be just in order to satisfy your perception of who I am. I am who I am. I'm not going to change who I am. If you like that, great. If you don't, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And that's how you should think about business. Like, you're not going to please everybody. You don't need to put on a show. Just be who you are. And that'll get you further in life than trying to be fake and put on a fake persona of who you're not.
yes. Now this might be kind of a basic question, but it has to do with, finding the deal. And can you speak to the kinds of skills people need? So you market, you do direct mail, you text, you door knock, whatever. So you finally get the seller to talk to you. You're brand new. Can you give people tips on how to handle that situation? Because there's other investors out there also.
I would tell you my secret weapon. I just told you my secret weapon, and it probably went over your head, but it's being brutally honest and authentic.
Yes.
Authentic. I don't bullshit sellers. I tell them and set clear expectations from the front. Listen, ma'am, I'm not a retail buyer. I'm an investor. I have to get this property for cheap enough to better make sense of it as an investment. I'm not buying it to live here. I'm buying it to either fix up and flip or keep it as a rental property. So if I don't buy this right, I understand you want this amount of money, but if I give you that amount of money, I'm gonna lose massively. So this is where I need to be to make sense of it. If you can't do that, I totally understand. I may not be the best route you need to go. You might need to go with a realtor. I just gave you my script. That's exactly what I say every single time. It cuts through all the bullshit. It doesn't sugarcoat stuff, and it doesn't pretend to persuade somebody in a manner that's misleading or untruthful. I tell them exactly what I'm looking for, what I need to do, and why I need to buy it for so cheap. And then you just break down the numbers of why you need to get it for so cheap. Like, this is my construction cost. This is how much profit. This is the days on market. This is the risk I'm going to take. And then you show them that, and once you show them that, instead of just trying to tell them, if you just tell them how much you need to get it for, they don't understand the why behind it. You got to give them the why. And if you break down the numbers and the how-tos and the why and the risk behind it, they then understand. And then from there, they're more willing to give you that deal that you want because they know why you're trying to get it for so cheap versus them just thinking that you're just making a low ball offer to screw them.
Yeah, I think that was an awesome answer, a very awesome answer. And I hope everybody takes that to heart because I think that was just awesome. Well, what I'm going to do right now, Chris, is I'm going to go and we're going to be wrapping up here in a few minutes. So I'm going to go back to sharing my slide. And then we're going to come back to your contact info here. And then if we have any other questions. So if y'all have questions, start putting them in the chat box for me. Thank you. So I want to kind of talk more about when you become a client of foreclosuresdaily.com and you just don't receive a list. So the staff at Foreclosures Daily, you have somebody who's assigned to you and they will help you with the 6-step mailing campaign, that they have a 6-touch follow-up strategy, ready to use phone scripts, pre-written email templates that you can use if you do probate for the attorneys, because you do get a list of the attorneys. You can have professionally designed postcards and letters. You'll get the Winning Deals and Heels book. And you have exclusive links for discounted mail rates and reduced skip tracing rates. So they don't just sell you a list. They give you support so that you can be successful with all the lists. Now with the list, you can buy one county and get one county for free. This is a webinar special that's good through Friday night. I'm going to go back to one slide here. I don't know, my slide went fast. Okay, these are the type of leads that you get with foreclosuredaily.com. So there's the probate, the pre-probate, the absentee owners, divorce, distress, code violations, eviction, inheritance, auctions, cash buyers, lis pendens, tax lates. So they have like every list that you are going to need as far as um, an investor or even a realtor, if you're listening to this, to find leads for motivated sellers. Now, they also, I said that they help support you. So they have like, you have to think of Foreclosures Daily, not just as a list company, but they actually give you a marketing toolbox. So there's direct mailing that you can do. I mean, Chris talked about that's one of the ways that he finds leads. I do that as well. They have ringless voicemails. There's Drop Cowboy. You can get RVM and you just deliver it. They have sample letters. You can, they help you along the way with website creation companies, private money lenders, skip tracing. So what happens if you do a direct mail and it comes back and the person no longer lives there? You can actually skip trace them. And I can tell you a lot of investors don't take that extra step. So everything you need to market to leads. Now, they also have a partnership with marketing by hand, and the owners of this company were on last month. If you can go back and listen to that, but they have very nice handwritten cards that go out to any of the lists, and it's very drop and play, meaning you can get the list and they can go in there, they can download your names. You just tell them which if you want a gold, platinum, how often you want to, and it's very easy. They already have the messaging. You can have your phone number in there, so it's very easy, marketing by hand. I went through that. Okay, so now on the list. So what does it cost? So on probates, pre-probates, inheritance, divorce code violations, evictions. So each list, so basically it boils down to the more you buy in terms of time, the cheaper it is. So remember, Chris said you got to spend some money, and this is true. But this is one company. I've been with them for, I know Chris told me earlier, he's been with them since 2014. I've been with them since 2018, and their leads that you get have real estate in them. So you can buy for 12 weeks, get one county, and you can get another 50% county add-on. Now that special is only good through Friday for this webinar special. Or you can spend $9.99 for 26 weeks. I recommend you go for all, the $17.50 for 52 weeks. So you save more the more that you buy. Now, if you're in Florida, the foreclosure list in Florida, there's $479 for 3 months, $7.99 for 6 months. So you can see 159 savings. And then if you go for 1 year, that's $1,299, or you're going to save $617. Or you can buy a la carte, such as the absentee, free and clear, tax lates. You can get for $1,000, you can get 500. So again, if you combine the counties, you're going to save more. And again, so reach out to your representative from Foreclosure Daily and they can set you up. Now, I do want to thank everybody, but before I go, I'm going to go back to Chris's slide because this is all of his contact information. Chris, did I get everything? We've got your Twitter account, LinkedIn, your YouTube, free ebook, and then they can contact you directly and
Yeah,
you will talk with them about
that's
your
right.
allies partner mastermind. And you've given away so many nuggets tonight. I mean, I just can't even, I mean, people would be up and running within a couple weeks, I bet. Probably the first week, just from what you said. And you're
Yeah,
very,
if you just do what I just said, you can't help but to make money and build wealth.
mm-hmm.
I just gave you the roadmap. Now, does it require a lot of work and a lot of consistency over time? Absolutely. But I gave you the roadmap. I gave you the fundamentals. But if you want to skip time and jump on a time machine, Allies Mastermind is how you get on a time machine, because you're going to get all the secret strategic unfair advantages that all these operators that come speak at my event, including me, learn and learn how to do all this stuff that frankly speaking took these guys maybe 5, 10, 20 years to learn. So if you want the cheat sheet, coaching and masterminds is how you're going to get it. That's how I got all the information I got. And plus from just not quitting and self-reflecting, every time I made a mistake, I didn't quit. You never lose as an entrepreneur, you just learn. as long as you don't quit.
Yeah. I do have one more question for you. We have a few more minutes. We don't have any questions in the box, but what are your thoughts on creating an LLC, a series LLC? You kind of alluded to, you're going to run into some tax problems if you're like, wholesaling all the time and flipping.
I don't know. I'm not a bean counter.
Okay.
All I know is that all of my corporations are all LLCs, and I buy enough real estate every year that I haven't paid taxes in going on 11 years. Because I buy millions of dollars of real estate every year, and I do what's called a 1031 exchange and cost segregation, right? And you definitely need to get classified as a professional real estate by the IRS tax code. That way you can get the full benefits of being what's called a professional real estate investor. And I don't know what that guideline is. I think you have to do at least 150 hours a year in real estate, which is not much. And listen, not paying taxes by itself is an asset class. If you can learn how to not pay taxes legally, morally, and ethically like me, using the tax code via 1031 exchange, depreciation, and cost segregation, that is an absolute game changer in your business and you as a human being in particular on this planet. Because I mean, otherwise you're going to work to give a third of your earnings away to the government and IRS every year if you don't understand the tax code. So I don't know the difference between the LLC, S Corp, C Corp, and the pros and cons. I remember I used to know a little bit more than I did because I remember in college we take an accounting class and we had to learn that. But I know there's different perks, but that changes year by year. Tax code changes every year. So I don't want to give you information on something I'm not an expert at, Nancy.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we appreciate your time tonight, Chris. Thank you so much. I know I learned a lot. This will be up tomorrow for a replay. So again, thank you for your time. And
yeah, and I would say if they can inbox me on my Facebook page, Chris Rood, my personal profile, and go follow me there. I got 5,000 friends. So if they send a request, you can't do that. You can just press the follow button or go to my business page on Facebook, Chris Rood Entrepreneur, and press follow, and then go to my Instagram, Real Estate Rood, at Real Estate Rood. I put out tons of content every day on what me and my wife are up to, either buying, selling, developing, flipping, wholesaling businesses we're doing. You can learn a lot of good information on how to be an entrepreneur just from following my page.
Yes. And your LinkedIn page too was very good.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Well, thanks
and YouTube,
again.
and my YouTube, Chris
And
Rood
your
Entrepreneur.
YouTube.
Yep.
And your book is on Amazon. So
yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, thanks again, Chris. I appreciate your time tonight. Everyone, appreciate y'all being here with us.
Yeah. And one more thing, and if they need coaching, just go to chrisrood.com or the alliesmastermind.com and book a call with me and we can get them a call.
Yes. I think they should just do that anyway. I think they should book a call with you.
Yes.
I think I can tell you're the kind of person that just gives a lot, even in that consultation call. So
yes. Absolutely. All right.
All righty. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.